Hello, this is Alexander McGurk, games development student, student number D00140317. This is for games programming year 2 semester 1, the third and final CA project. The requirements of this project were to modify the game that we created in the second CA project. So what I'll do is give a brief playthrough of the game. Then I will explain the code that makes it work. It's just generating now. Okay, so the game is set up the same as the previous game, just with some added inputs into it. The three main requirements of this were to add an enemy, to add a puzzle of some sorts, and to have a save and load function. Unfortunately, the type of game that I created, it being a Cluedo and a detective game, I couldn't find anywhere to put in an enemy and a fight piece with hit points and life points and experience points and such. It just couldn't find anywhere to fit it into my game, so I was unable to do that. The save and load function, though, I have, as you can see here, they've been added here with a quit function as well, so people can leave if they want. To test to make sure this works, I set up in just one of the rooms the numerical pieces that are chosen for the random options. That's what will be saved, is whichever random numbers have been chosen for this particular game, so that the next time you open up the game, when new random numbers are chosen, you can choose to load in the ones from the previous one. So I'll show you now. The code is found in body here. So this is saying that the three random numbers that have been chosen are 6, 6 and 1. So if we go back and we choose save, it doesn't seem to have done anything here, but if we look through the folders of the computer, we can see that it's after saving a file random, which if we open has the numbers 6, 6 and 1 with them, with spaces between them. So we can now quit out of this using the new quit function, which will turn it off. And if we open up another one, if we check the random numbers for this version, we can see they've changed. So the random is still working from 661 to 283. And if we go back to the main menu and choose load, it will load in from the random text file and replace the random numbers 283 with the ones of the previous game. So as you can see, they've been changed back to 661. So that's the save and load function working, and the quit function that I've added. The other one that I had was a puzzle. I got a hangman puzzle, which was on Moodle, and got it working and reworded it to be a password security file on a computer. So the passwords, the computer itself can be found in the house if you go into the study. It has an extra option of comp. You may remember from the other CA that each room had the same two options: to investigate that room or to go back. So a third option's been added in specifically just for study, which is the computer, as well as some text here saying, or notifying the user about the computer option. So if they choose comp, it'll bring them to the computer file, which is the puzzle file. As you can see here, the computer is password protected. You'll have to try and decrypt it, and you have 9 guesses. It will tell you the following layers that have been used, and it will show you how many layers are in. So if you test this, you can see layers that have come into it or not. This particular word is suspect. There is multiple different ones shown or available to choose randomly, which I'll show you when we go through the code. So if you do get it, password, you get a message saying what the password was and it was entered correctly and welcome back, and it'll tell you that you hacked into the computer but there was no information on it, and it will bring you back to the study, where you could choose to do the computer again and you'll have a different password this time. If you fail I'll just put in some random ones now to bring down the menu. If you fail, you'll just get a message saying incorrect password, you failed to crack the password, and it will again push you back out onto that menu again. So that's all the changes that I managed to get into this in time. If we go through the code now, you'll see the changes I did to the code. First, from the load rooms information, is just to add the extra bit of messages in the study saying that Mr. Black's computer is here and there might be some information on it, as you can see there. The input is where it was changed most. First, for the input header, I had to add a puzzle header, which I set up. I'll show you in a moment. And for the input CPP, I added here that if the ID was equal to 9, which was the ID number for the study, then it would also add in the option of comp at the end. So that's setting up the computer option specifically for the study. Also down at the end, we have the save function, which was set to 14. It'll change the ID to 14, or the load 15, or quit, which is 13, which you can all see on the main CPP file, which I'll show you in a moment. And then down here, if they chose comp, it would call the puzzle CPP file, and it would check to see if the CPP or the puzzle file comes back as true, because it's a boolean. If it comes back, if it's returned as true, then it will give out this piece of information, else if it's false, it'll give out this one, and it'll loop back onto the last page. I set up a small page in the resource files of the answers, just in case I look for them there, of the possible answers for the Hangman puzzle game. 5 letter one is 6 letter, 7, 8 and 9 letter one. Puzzle file, set up a simple little puzzle header here saying the same includes that it would need, and the only function it uses, which is a boolean of puzzle. The actual puzzle CPP file here, it's the same as the one that was given to us on Moodle, but just reworded. I've added in different random different words to be the actual possible word to guess, and more of them, as you can see. This randomly generates them. The SVAN is set up so that you can get a different random word each time it's used. This is all set up to show what letters have been used already and how much of the word's been set so far and whatnot. Then I put in the different COUts so that the wording of the file was different. So instead of a game of Hangman you're playing, it was Mr. Black's computer password. Then there was the guesses. I changed the amount of guesses to 9 just to give a bit more of an advantage to the player. A possible, if they've already entered them and such, correct inputs. And then at the end of it, I had to set up an extra boolean called answer just at the beginning. So if they got it wrong, the answer would be set to false, and if they got it right, answer would be set to true, and at the very end it would return answer. And I set up a system pause as well just to stop it from closing immediately. So just so you could see any final output messages. So that returns to the input CPP file that we saw, either true or false. Puzzle header and the puzzle answers file. Then also in the main CPP file, I added in, here is this is for the save and load and quit functions. If room ID is equal to 13, which was the ID set for quit, it will just break out the loop and close the game. If it's set to 14, which is the save function, I used the off-stream save and save to a text file called random. This checks to see that the save is actually open, and if it is, it pushes in the 3 generated numbers with spaces between them so it can differentiate them. Then it will close the save file and it will set the room ID back to 0, so it goes back to the original menu. Room ID to 15 was if the load option was chosen, which uses the if stream and a function load to call open the random text. Again, checking to make sure it's open, and if it was open, it would load into the 3 individual files, which was only possible because the spaces were put in here. It can differentiate them and know which ones go where. Then it closes them and sets room ID to 0 again, so that it will go back to the original menu again. That's all the changes that I have. Like I said, I wasn't able to add in an enemy in this game, but the ones I do have are working functionally and fine. I will continue to commit this onto the CA2 project, as it was already set up based off of the CA2 project. So on Bitbook it will be continued commits on the CA2 project. That's all from me. Okay.